I'm Mark Allen, and here we are. This is the live stream that I advertised this morning, and wanted to go ahead and get it started. I had to push it back 1/2 hour. Forgive me for that.
Good job, clap. He had his warm-up clap, and he's got a mad clap. And you can use it. This button too. At least I can.
I like hardly ever drive this thing.
Why is this air conditioner on?
I don't know how to fix it.
It's not.
Well, it's cold air. Jeez.
Where are we going?
So we're going to Amy.
Who has money?
Northeastern.
Oh, I just grabbed my wallet. Should I have?
I have $50.
Okay, then I don't think I
Can I have your phone?
No. What was that noise?
Dad has a.
Complicated and technical setup here. Let me explain my setup to you. Okay, it's very technical. Start with an ironing board. There's an ironing board, and I have a wood stool. I'll explain why I'm sitting on the wood stool here in a moment. But there's an ironing board here. It's got my haul on one end. It's got the laptop on the other, so I can see the chats. And got my bottle of water and all this stuff. So it's very, very, very high tech and very professional looking. All right. You may be able to hear my squeaky stool. I've got the stool because I'm doing the aging thing, man. I'm telling you, I know we all are, but lately standing up and for very long, for 30 minutes or more, gets to my lower back. It just is what it is. I hate to say it because it makes me sound like, an older guy than I really am. But anyway, okay, let's get to it. Have ordered a couple of books lately through off of eBay, and glad to finally get those. And then we'll get to a really cool garage sale surprise. I have a sister-in-law. I have the greatest sister-in-law ever. I don't know if anyone else out there has ever said that, but I have a great sister-in-law who thinks of me when she goes to garage sales, and she goes to a lot of garage sales. And so when she sees comics, she grabs them. Or there's been occasions where she's taken pictures and say, hey, anything here that you want. So you got to love it when family members are doing that. And listen, I'm gonna give props to her because she's sister-in-law. She's family by marriage. I don't even have blood relatives that have ever done that for me before. So not in recent memory anyway. All right, so a couple of things off of eBay. I got this. This is a book that Night Tiger, like 3 years ago when I was on the first live stream with him, he showed this book, and ever since then I've been wanting to get it. I finally found it. I found it for like $4, $3 or $4 on eBay, free shipping. It was a great deal. It was a former library copy, which is just fine. This is the 10 Cent Plague by David Haju, and this is just talking about this is about the great comic book scare, Professor Wortham, and all that went on, and how it panicked America, how it changed America, how it changed the comic book industry. And so it's a nice thick book. There aren't listen, I was disappointed as well as a comics fan. Not very many pictures in here, though there is a center with some black and white photos, historical and comic photos, okay? And there's some comics there. Comics that, of course, were part of the controversy. And so there's some pictures there, but it's a big thick book. It's going to be some great reading. It is actually before you get to like the appendix, the notes, the bibliography. It is a 334-page book. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I'm looking forward to brushing up on my comic book history, where that whole where the seduction of the innocent and all of that was concerned, or is concerned. All right, next one I got, and I haven't had a chance to check this out yet just because life has been so crazy lately, but this is if you know my channel, if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I like comic reference material. I have a series of videos called Rousing Reference Material. I like the comic book history books. And so this is one that's been on my radar for a long time. Finally got me a copy. And it is Baby Boomer Comics. Baby Boomer Comics by Craig Shutt, Mr. Silver Age. Seems like he had, somebody tell me if I'm not remembering correctly, is that Captain Comics? I used to be very aware of Captain Comics' presence on the internet by his reviews and that kind of thing, his review column. But I don't know. I'm thinking now that that's maybe Craig Shutt, but I don't know. So anyway, if anybody out there knows, just let me know. But anyway, cool, very cool cover. Lots of old classic comic book covers on there, and lots of great reviews on this book over the years. It is, of course, the wild, wacky, wonderful comic books of the 1960s. Okay, has a copyright date of 2003, so fairly recent. Okay, 21st century book. But anyway, Baby Boomer Comics. Okay, can't wait to dive into that. Got a lot of reading to do, a lot of real reading to do. Okay, comic books are real reading as well, yes, but a lot of non-comic book reading to do. All right. A couple of finds that I'm going to go ahead and take these out because they are kind of dingy bags. A couple of finds that, let's get to the garage sale finds that my sister-in-law found for me. And these came, we were in the process of cleaning out our garage, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were moving, and they were in the process of getting rid of some things, so we got their, I think they were buying new washer and dryer, so we got their washer and dryer. Well, they sent over some other things, and among them was a couple of comic books that she had picked up at a garage sale. First is Superman number 75 from January 1993, The Death of Superman. This is a first print. Now this has had varying degrees of popularity. Of course, it's primarily, and it does need a little bit of a press there on the spine, but it's primarily a really neat historical piece, because this book, of course, drove the non-comics reading population out there nuts. If you remember, people were lining up around the block at their local comic stores, in many cases, comic stores that they had never even darkened the door of, and they were getting as many copies as they could of Superman number 75, The Death of Superman. All the while, fans who had been in it for a while knew better than to think Superman was gone forever. But you had people getting multiple copies of it, think, I'm going to lock this away, put them in a vault, and one day they're going to be worth a lot of money. And that just didn't turn out to be true. But it is still a cool book. It's still a cool collectible. It's a great story. I have it in all the first print forms, the whole story. I also have it in 2 or 3 different reprints. I love the story. I love the Doomsday character that was introduced. And so anyway, that was a neat gift from my sister-in-law who found that at a garage sale. Now, the one that was even more exciting, because this is a book that I don't have, and it's also going to need a light press. But this is a great book because it's a book that I've been wanting to read for quite some time, but has recently kind of shot up in popularity, and it didn't, it just wasn't worth it to me to search it out, to pay what people wanted to read it. But when you get it for free, it's great. And this is a first print, February 1987, DC Comics Wonder Woman #1, the reboot of Wonder Woman by the amazing George Perez. Look at this wraparound cover here. By George Perez. Just great stuff. I'm looking forward to reading this. I have never, ever in my life, in well over 40 years of comic book hobby, never read Wonder Woman #1. So I'm looking forward to that. And thank you very much again, Tracy, for picking that up for me. All right. A few comic shop finds. This first one is takes you back to 1993. The days of course, the, what do you call it? The birth of Image and Valiant Comics and the artist-driven rather than the story-driven comics that there's so many opinions about. But this is one of those catalogs that that doesn't exist anymore. There's just really just Diamond now. But this is Advance Comics, number 60 from December of 1993. Still in the plastic. I don't know the history of death, of DC's death, who appeared in Sandman Comics. I don't know anything about that. I don't know, but she does appear on the cover there along with the Sandman, the Dream Sandman there. But what's really neat about this and why I get these when I find them is because of what's inside the plastic. You have here an Ultraverse card, trading card. You have a postcard with P. Craig Russell artwork, and it is Sandman image there. So really neat. P. Craig Russell, one of my all-time favorite comic book artists. And then you have a preview of Nexus, and it's going to be hard to see back there, but preview of Nexus. Magnus Robot Fighter Nexus crossover, which of course I'm a big fan. That Steve Rude did that crossover. He did the art there, and I'm a big Steve Rude fan as well. So those are kind of cool. I'm tempted to take those out. Go ahead and take those out, especially that postcard, and just so I have it there. But anyway, that's there. All right. These next comics came from a place in Joplin, Missouri called the Clubhouse. The Clubhouse is fairly new. It's in downtown Joplin. Anybody who knows Joplin, and you know where the if you know where the Joplin flea market is, then just across the street or so, down the street a little bit from, I'm trying to think of what direction. I think it would be east of that is the Clubhouse. Got some great comics there with great prices, and some of these I just want to go ahead and take out, and I'm going to mention, because if you're ever in Joplin, you need to stop by the Clubhouse. Got some Marvel Tales for really good price. This was $10. Got Marvel Tales number 17. Okay, very very glossy and nice. You know, a little bit dinged up, but it's still a nice square bound spine. Okay, so I don't mind paying. I've never minded paying that kind of price for the bigger Marvel square bound books, even the DC square bound books that are in nice shape. I'll pay that because they're worth it. And in the Marvel Tales case of the Marvel Tales, those reprints are starting to go up, because you've got in Marvel Tales you find a lot of first time reprints of important first appearances. Okay, this is this one I paid $15 for. This is Marvel Tales number 20, even more glossy, even a better spine, but it's the reprint of the first appearance of the Spider Slayers and of Professor Smythe. Is it Alistair Smythe, I believe? But the really nice gloss on that book, okay, and a really nice spine, and so I was happy to pay $15 for that, and plus it's classic Ditko, Lee Ditko stories in there, okay. And also, of course, in these you have other Silver Age reprints. In this particular one, you've got a Thor reprint with which I believe. Let me see if it's. I believe it may be. Yes, the first appearance reprint of the first appearance of the Grey Gargoyle. Okay, and so very cool stuff. If you can't get the first appearances, Marvel Tales are just the next best thing. Okay, so great stuff there. Of course, like I said, can't go wrong with classic Ditko and Kirby and Stan Lee stories and all that good stuff. All right, next, Marvel Tales. I'm going ahead and taking these out of the wrappers or out of the sleeves. Marvel Tales number 24. Let's see, they didn't put, I seem to remember when Marvel in their reprint books used to put originally presented in, and they weren't doing that at this time. And I'm not up on my, it's been too long, I'm not up on my issues of Spider-Man, but some of you will be able to tell by the cover. But this is the first, I think, first appearance of the Master Planner. Okay, reprint of Spider-Man whatever. I'll let you people who are smarter than me on the issues, the original issues, I'll let you decide what that is. But it also has, of course, another great Thor reprint story with Cobra and Mr. Hyde. My favorite, my all-time favorite, at least when I was a kid, favorite demonic duo, let's call them that. Favorite pair of villains, partners in the Marvel Universe whenever I was a kid. I loved the Cobra and Mr. Hyde. And first discovered them actually in Daredevil, I did. And then the John Byrne, the short period that John Byrne had on Captain America during the 70s, his story, two-part story with Mr. Hyde. Oh man, it was creepy. Captain America versus Mr. Hyde. All right, next is, I guess, I don't remember if Cobra was in that one or not. Okay, this one's not in quite as good a shape, but I didn't pay as much for it either. But this is the reprint, and again, I don't know I don't know the original issue numbers, but this is the reprint of the issue where Green Goblin revealed to Peter that he was Norman Osborn, and also revealed to Peter that he knew that he was Spider-Man. Yeah. Anthony Purdue says, had those square bounds of Marvel Tales, collector's items, classics, etc. Yeah, I have some of those as well. And they're great, great fun. What's really neat about this one is it has at the time, new cover by Sal Buscema. And great, I love that. I love that cover. I love Sal Buscema's interpretation of a very classic Marvel scene there. And so that's great stuff too. All right. This next one is Marvel Tales number 30. And I believe this one sports one of those few, Marie Severin, I believe, covers that where they did a new cover for the story, I believe. I may be wrong on this. Someone else can check me, but Marvel Tales number 30 with a very cool cover illustration there with the Rhino and Spidey going at it. Okay, so great stuff there. Of course, it reprints. It's not Rhino's first appearance, but it is a John Romita, early John Romita Spider-Man story. And oh, here's another, and you have another Spider Slayer showing up in there. J. Jonah Jameson getting him another Spider Slayer. So you got to love that. Just classic. You know, the Spider Slayers were part of the just classic, will always be part of the classic Spidey lore. And so I don't even know if they're still doing them because I haven't read Spider-Man as a habit for a long, long time. Okay. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? This was not an expensive book. It was $2. I went ahead and got it though because it's a reprint of a book I needed, and I'm not really wanting to go after the first print of this. The issue of the Avengers facing down the Squadron Sinister, first full appearance of Squadron Sinister, I believe. But anyway, it's actually Marvel Super Action number 31. Y'all just feel free to jump in there with the issue numbers because you know me and my memory. I remember a lot more about artists and writers and storylines than I do about issue numbers. That's just me. Marvel Presents number 9, another chinking away at my Guardians of the Galaxy, original Guardians of the Galaxy story, first ongoing series under Marvel Presents. That's what I didn't have there. It's number 9. And so again, like those original. Of course, you know, the Marvel, the Guardians of the Galaxies of that time, the original Guardians of the Galaxy, resemble not at all the Guardians of the Galaxy of the MCU. And that's okay. You know, it's all good. The MCU Guardian movies are still great fun. And with these next two, I have now completed my short run of Marvel's ARG series. I actually got number 1. Found number 1. That was $4. And again, happy to pay it. And number 3, which was a lot nicer. I'm not going to take these out, but $9. Okay, so I like these particular humor books. I like, hey, who we got here? Hey, Funk Comics, good to see you. Yeah, I like the ARGs, and it's an easy run to get because there were only 5 or 6 issues, but I've got them all now. All right, this next one I was really glad to find. Again, cheap $4 book that was in surprisingly nice shape. I'll go ahead and pull it out. It says King Size. This is Defenders King Size Annual number 1 with a classic cover. And great stuff there. And so that was a $4 book, which of course, this, you know, I love the dollar boxes. And let me get rid of something here very quickly. There we go. I love the dollar boxes. You all know I love the dollar boxes. But as the price of new comics now averages about $4 to $5. The later issues of Marvel Tales did have the new covers. Appreciate that, Anthony. But yeah, I love the in retrospect, seeing as how I have a hard time going out and buying. I don't buy that many new comics anymore, and they're $4 to $5 a pop on average. Okay, so when someone says, "Wait, $4 for that?" I'm gonna say, yeah, $4 for a classic, Defenders Annual #1 with lots of great gloss, really still a pretty good spine there. Okay, no major problems, and of course Sal Buscema art inside. I'm looking and I'm thinking, I don't think that's a Sal Buscema cover. Someone might just kind of look on Comic Book Database or something and see, who did the cover. I should know who it is. Looks very familiar, but anyway, probably just because it's a classic cover. It's kind of iconic. All right, and so that's my haul from the Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a great comic book store. They also do, if you're, like I say, if you're ever in Joplin, they also do gaming, and they do gaming tournaments and that kind of thing. So great stuff there. All right, this next stack is actually from a week ago today. And a week ago today, my oldest son and I went to Neosho, Missouri, for the, I don't know what annual, I don't know how many years it's been doing it, but for the annual Neosho ArtCon. And here's a bag. I went ahead and spent $10 on that, and because the real reason why is I left the house without my backpack, and I was like, we got there and we were standing in line. Actually, we had paid to get in, getting our wristbands, and before I realized, I'm standing there looking at I said my oldest son. I took both boys. I'm sorry. Took both boys, and I was standing there and we were talking, and I was like, I forgot my backpack. I look like a newbie. What am I going to do with all the swag that I buy? Because usually when I go to a con like that, I fill the backpack up with a combination of dollar comics and above. Well, they were selling these. They're just kind of a light fabric, but they are strong enough for a good stack of comics. And for $10, I thought, well, I need a bag. It's kind of a cool image, and so I'm going to go ahead and get me an ArtCon bag to remember ArtCon 2023. So that's what I did. Okay, and I'm glad I did. So I'll be using that. I'll use that over and over again probably for other cons down the road. All right, so let's talk about the comics I found there. There was exactly one comics vendor at ArtCon 2023 in Neosho, Missouri. And so that kind of surprised me, because the last ArtCon I'd been to, there were several more. There were several more than that. And so there was one, and so he was kind of the only place in town, or the only game in town, so to speak, except there was one table, and I didn't even really notice because I was looking for comics, so I couldn't even tell you what they were selling otherwise. But they had 2 short boxes of comics. And so looking at those 2 short boxes of comics, I found a Fantastic Four. It would be technically annual #9, but it was back when they were called King Size Special. And so King Size Special #9, Fantastic Four, a reprint of a classic story, The Wedding of Reed and Sue. Okay, and so you have the Wedding of Reed and Sue. You also have a Frightful Four story in here. I think this was the one. If this isn't the one, then oh yeah, here. Well, no. Maybe it was one of the Marvel. Okay, no, there it is. Bedlam at the Baxter Building. There's the Bedlam at the Baxter Building. Today's the day. All right, wedding bells for Reed and Sue. So yeah, you got the story, the original story of their wedding. I think that appeared in their first annual. Is that correct? Yeah, they had T-shirts. They had T-shirts for that. That's the bag, but they had T-shirts with that image, and you can still order them, I think. And I've thought about going back and ordering them. All right, but so anyway, yes, you have the story of Reed and Sue's marriage. Wedding. You also have a reprint of a Frightful Four story in there. Okay, and so fun book. Anytime again. Classic Lee and Kirby. Fun stuff. You also have a Thing and Human Torch story in here from Strange Tales. And so, again, this book wasn't, there's no, I don't know what era that was that they did that. I thought they did it up until like the 80s or so, but they weren't doing it yet. They weren't telling you what issues these were originally printed in. So, there you go. Which is always a handy thing for collectors to have, readers to have, to know where it first appeared in case you wanted to go get it. All right, I got another one. I did get one book. The rest of the books, that was the one book I got from the table that only had the 2 short boxes. Everything else I got from the one comic vendor who was there, and don't have any information from him on him. I know he's local around there, but anyway, this was one I'd never seen before. It has kind of a lenticular cover. This was published in 1993. This is The New Adventures of Speed Racer number 0 with that really cool kind of, it's barely lenticular. It's the same material. The image hardly moves at all, but still cool gimmick cover, very three-dimensional there. And so I like that, so I went ahead and got that because as I had brought money, you'll understand this, I think. As I brought money, believing there would be several comics vendors there, and realizing there was only one comics vendor there, I went ahead and spent a little more on books that I wouldn't normally have. That was one of them. I think I spent $5 for that book. I don't know where the tag is. Oh, there it is. Yeah, $5 for that book. Now, the rest of these are some great Marvel horror reprint books. Fear number 2, great copy for $10, and I was, again, happy to make that deal and happy to get that. Actually, now I have to say about this guy, as most vendors will, I walked up with, I don't remember, $80 or $85 worth of books. I think it was $85 or $80 worth of books. He said, well, let's make it an even 75. I said, great, thank you very much. And most guys are cool like that. They'll do that at cons and stuff, and I noticed him doing that with other folks. But there's a so very glossy copy there, a glossy cover. I love the horror reprint books from the 60s and 70s, Marvel's. I think this is probably 1970. What's it say? Yep, 1970. Got some classic Byrne. You got some, looks like maybe all Byrne in this one. But there are some of them that I got, some Ditko too. Yeah, there's some Ditko in there. Very cool Ditko image there. One Way Journey. There you go. Okay, so great stuff there. Fear number 2. And I did also get the next book, Fear number 3. Not that it means anything. Let me say that very, very quickly here. The reprint of the first appearance of Zootak, the Thing That Shouldn't Exist. I love the names that they came up with, some of these monsters back in the day. I should say the Stan came up with these. FF Annual 2 wedding issue. Okay, thank you, Felix. Appreciate that. Yeah, Medusa was in that iteration of the Frightful Four, and FF3. Oh, FF3 is the wedding issue. You can tell I'm reading in order. Thank you again, Felix. Thank you for checking me on that. Yeah, I don't have very many early FF annuals. I haven't for 25, 30 years or so. But anyway, Fear number 3, also great stuff in there, Ditko and Byrne. I found the creepiest image. Got to show you this one story, this Ditko image called A Monster Waits Outside. I showed this to my oldest son, and it creeped me out. Boom. Ditko could do it, man. Ditko could creep a person out, all right? So cool stuff there. Anyway, these are always fun to read. I also have a couple of collections of the old Marvel horror stories and stuff, and aliens, monsters, all this kind of stuff. Nice copy of Submariner number 46 thrown in there. Okay, and so monster reprints, always cool reads. They are. You're right, Anthony. They are always cool reads. Submariner number 46, another early appearance. I have the first appearance of Stingray. This is just an early appearance. It might be the second. I'm not sure, but I'm not a, I didn't grow up reading the Submariner books. I just kind of began to be drawn to them as an older comics fan. Mostly just because it's early Marvel. It's hard to believe that you think about the late Silver Age and early Bronze Age. still considered now these days early Marvel, because my goodness, the 70s, 1970, that was what, 50 years ago, 53 years ago, and so my goodness, we're makes you feel older anyway. Makes you also feel appreciative of some of the books that came out even up into the 70s. Love Bronze Age books. Anyway, I'm rambling. Okay, Monsters on the Prowl number 27. Okay, happy to get that. Again, always just chipping away at those monster reprint runs from the Bronze Age. Monsters on the Prowl number 21. Very cool Gil Kane image on there. Okay. Monsters on the Prowl number 19. With the creature from the Black Bog. Okay, so great stuff. That is really wild creature there. What a design. Okay. And then Monsters on the Prowl number 17. The Coming of Colossus. I don't know if this is, I don't think that's a first appearance. Someone can let me know if you think it is. Monsters on the Prowl. I didn't do any research on these before I did my video. I'm always in awe of Night Tiger, who does the research, and I know you can tell when he's showing. You can tell when he's showing books that he's got a little square of paper in here. Hey, Gardening Bulldog, good to have you. You can tell that he's got the information written on the back somewhere, and he's telling you everything about it. But he does the research. That's one of the things that's cool about Mike, is he does that. But so I don't know if this is I don't know anything about the Colossus. I just know I like these old reprint books. So I don't think it's a first appearance, though, even though it says The Coming of Colossus. All right. So that's Monsters on the Prowl number 17. Got two more here. One is, of course, a book that a magazine run, a Marvel magazine run. And the story of this is the story that all of us have about several different titles. I used to have the majority of this whole run, and now it's harder than ever to get these. This particular one has a beautiful painted Jim Starlin cover on it. This is a Rampaging Hulk number 5. And I love that image. Been a Namor fan since the Silver Age. Lots of guys like you, Anthony. I've always been a Submariner fan. Oh, but by the way, we finally read. My sons and I finally watched. It came to Disney Channel, and we watched Wakanda Forever. Now, I'm trying to say this without. Never want this to be. I try not to include. I try not to include politics in this channel, but I do listen to political radio and political YouTube videos, that kind of thing. And I've been kind of disappointed at how, I agree. I'm going to make a statement that I think is true. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, its best stuff was the stuff before and leading up to, including the Infinity War movies, okay? So Infinity War and Endgame. After that, the quality of Marvel movies and Marvel media visual media took a dip, okay? And there was a lot of talk about, people not expecting much out of Wakanda Forever. And, it's so sad that Chadwick Boseman's gone. And it is sad. But they didn't I don't remember the actress's name, but they didn't like the actress who plays Shuri. They didn't like the idea of her being Black Panther and MCU and all this mess. Look. All of that aside, if it's a good story, it's a good story. And, oh, wow. Okay, so, Anthony, you think that's the first of 2 Colossus appearances. Thank you. I'll check that out. But, look, MCU aside, all that talk, all that rot, Wakanda Forever, and I'm going to get hammered for this, Wakanda Forever was in some ways a better movie than the first Black Panther movie. It was. Nothing against Chadwick Boseman. The Wakanda Forever paid wonderful homage to Chadwick Boseman. Very recognized him in a great way. And there was a couple of scenes in the movie that tugged at the heartstrings. Really did. But I liked the actress who plays Shuri. I liked her as Black Panther. I liked the journey she took, the emotional journey she took to being Black Panther. I like it. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone. I like who showed up in her, in what family member slash, slash, I can't think of what I'm trying to say, relative or whatever. I like the person who showed up in her fevered dream when she took the heart-shaped herb. And that's all I'll say. I won't say how they got their heart-shaped herb back. But my boys and I, we all agreed, all three of us, better than the first Black Panther movie. And so, good stuff. I highly recommend it. I say all that to say, why did I get started? Oh, Submariner. We like the Submariner's character. Don't know who the actor was. I don't know of him from anything else. But we like what they did with the Submariner, and I did, and I thought it was a great movie. It was one of the better movies in a while, and I pick it over Thor: Love and Thunder. I pick it over the Black Widow movie. Just good stuff. It was really good stuff. All right, so all that said, great Submariner cover there with the Hulk with Jim Starlin painted art, just great stuff. Rampaging Hulk #5, and again, whenever art is done, let me see who I think it's Alcatena. Yeah, Alfredo Alcatena did the penciling. Keith Pollard did the pencils. Keith Pollard, I always think when I think of him, I think of his 70s work on Amazing Spider-Man. That's what I think of. He did some work on Thor as well. But I have a lot of the Marvel Essentials line. Some of you probably do as well. And it's fun to read because of they're voluminous. I mean, they are just packed full of stories. Lots of stories in one volume of Marvel Essentials. But the art wasn't made to be black and white. It wasn't originally printed black and white. And so it looks nice in black and white, but it doesn't look great. When the black and white magazines were drawn and inked to be black and white, they looked like this. It looked amazing, okay? I love the black and white art from the Marvel's Bronze Age magazines. And so great stuff there. All right, lots of good stuff. And was really glad to get that magazine. I don't get very many of the Rampaging Hulk magazines. I just pick them up here and there. One day, I'll have them all again, hopefully. All right, one last book, and we're going to wrap it up. This is a book that I didn't even know existed. I was really happy to get it. Yeah, great splash page. The splash page by Keith Pollard, inked by Alfredo Alcala. Great stuff there. Great name or image. I'm a big John Byrne fan. I think people know that from if they watch this channel. I didn't know this book was even out there. I went ahead and paid more than I normally would for it. I paid $15 for it because it's the first time I've ever seen it in the wild, and I believe I remember ads about this book in comics, but I'm not sure. It is a 1985 book, published in 1985. I was still in high school. This is the How to Draw Comics comic by John Byrne. Basically, it's all the artwork is his. Some really great, striking images in here. Of course, recognize that one from, I believe that was from the envelope of one of the Marvel's print series. In fact, I had it, or maybe still have it, buried in a box somewhere. Great Wolverine image, though. What else do we have here? I'm looking for some great, there's a really very cool lizard image there, along with different stages of drawing figures, okay? Some great things, sketches there, and just kind of showing how you develop the figure. Some great stuff. I love, and as much as I love John Byrne's artwork, I've always, I've always been, as a kid, I drew even up into college, took a still course, a still life course in college, and that ruined me for drawing. I just kind of dropped it at that point. But I was trying to draw comics, and that was my dream, was to draw comics. I will say today, I'm glad I didn't end up a comic book artist, because in general, they work way too hard and way too long hours for too little money, all right? But very cool blob image there. But I do have, and I will say, I've had for years a desire, an idea for a comic book. And it's gonna see print one day, one way or the other, whether I write it as prose or find an artist to draw it. Okay, Namer fan 100%. Enjoyed his appearance in Wakanda Forever. This is Anthony. Yeah, Marvel had the MCU and comics during the late 40s. There you go, and early 1950s. Great point. If one checks out Atlas titles, absolutely right. It's not like female characters in Marvel are new. Female characters have always been proliferate. They've always been strong. I mean, my goodness, arguably, Storm was one of the most powerful X-Men, if not the most powerful X-Men, short of Dark Phoenix, another woman, the most powerful X-Men. Okay, and so I love that they, with the Scarlet Witch coming into her own in the MCU. New fans who are fans of the movies and then discover the comics through the movies, they don't know that they did the whole Dark Scarlet Witch thing back in the late 70s, early 80s in the Avengers. I have those books, Mount Wundagore and all of that, and so I have those Avengers books. Great stuff. So there's always been powerful female characters in the Marvel U, and there's been a lot of them. Okay, so anyway, really enjoyed the. I really like this just very roughed panels by Byrne here, and in his more cartoony style. I think of like Raj 2000 or something like that. That maybe he was doing something more along those lines. But anyway, I love the book. I never had this book was just never on my radar, and I'm very, very glad to have it as a John Byrne fan. Really glad to have that book. But hey, that's it, and I feel like I'm kind of all caught up now finally on videos. Hey, listen, I do have some rousing reference material and Affordable Firsts video ideas that will be coming out soon, and appreciate those who've come and watched. John Byrne took inspiration from an old Charlton guide to draw comics. Oh, okay. Well, great. Thanks. That he was influenced there by an old Charlton comics guide to drawing comics. Okay, I didn't know that. Very good. Appreciate that again, Anthony. But yeah, listen, guys, thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it very much. And just keep watching. Like I said, I do have a couple of rousing reference material videos that'll be out soon. Do have some Affordable Firsts that'll be out soon. I haven't done any of those in a while. And so anyway, stuff coming out, rolling out. As life gets busy and hectic, the hobby kind of gets put to the side. But when things slow down is when I try to catch up. So anyway, once again, thanks for watching. And if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Thanks for commenting on the video, and continue to comment when the video is done. But otherwise, thanks for watching 4Color Commentary. And as soon as I figure out how to close out of this, I'll see you next time.